Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything movies, TV, comics, and entertainment. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go. Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. What is happening, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He's the co-host. His name is Padawan J.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah, because, man, we have a lot to talk about. It is a busy week in the land of entertainment, in the world of movies, TV, and comics, and more, if you want to call it that. And we definitely have a lot to get into. So, Pad, where does everybody head after the show? Because we got to keep that conversation rolling.
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. Swing on over to the website. Make sure to sign up on all the social media accounts, especially what we're going to be talking about in the opening two segments, because it's going to be important for you to catch up on all the coverage. So, right there it is. Boom. Drop that follow. You won't miss a thing. Also, check out the Patreon link. One tier, $2 a month. And this week, you have the Sports Edition Patreon exclusive. So you want that sports talk, that's where you head on over to. Also, check out the TeePublic Store link. Sale going on this weekend as well. A lot of things happening there. The blog section, which is blowing up with some reviews. You have the directory. Pat, how many providers are we on?
110,000.
Sounds about right to me. Pat is a statistician, so I do not argue with him one bit when it comes to that. We also have the classified section where you can find friends of the show, such as 3FN Podcast, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative. A lot of things happening over there. So there's the easy, quick link right there, and then it takes you right to their homepage, because you can find out everything going on there involving us, involving 3FN, and a few of our friends, and a lot more things happening there. The music section, where you can find the latest from Brian Wolf and the Howlers, Tom Jolu, Floodlands, shout out the Robot, Second Suitor, the list goes on and on. Basically, if it's everything and everything it is the ODPH, you can find it at ODPHpodcast.com, and always remember on social media to use the hashtag ODPHpod. Well, it is that time of year, Pad.
Uh-huh.
Is it October yet is the question, and we can say proudly, yes, it is.
Is Billy Joel Armstrong from Green Day awake? Allegedly, yes.
Allegedly.
If you listen to the song, he's awake.
Mm-hmm. Because this is the annual New York Comic-Con preview edition.
Con!
Yes. It is so good to be going back to the Javits Center as press this year and going into year 17.
Oof.
Can you believe it, Pat?
That is crazy.
It is insane to think about. The con has definitely grown into a social media hub, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to shut down everything pop culture this weekend.
Yeah.
From October 12th to the 15th. So if you are not following what is going on with New York Comic Con on all their social media accounts, you definitely want to make sure you're taking full advantage of that. And if you need any more information, NewYorkComicCon.com, all one word, and it'll take you to where you need to go for this.
Mm-hmm.
But what we do, if you're a new listener, first and foremost, thank you for checking us out. Drop that 5-star review. We always appreciate it. We break down the panels you need to go to at NYCC. So we do the deep dive right from the website and give you our takes about what you need to go to and basically what is jumping out to us as fans that we're excited to talk about.
Yeah, real quick, I think we should just give some listeners, if this is your first time attending New York Comic Con, or you got a con coming up that you've never been to before, maybe some do's, maybe some don'ts, would definitely say, for this one especially, wear some comfy shoes, not old and super worn in, but not super brand new like you just went out to, your local shoe store and bought them. No, like slightly gently worn in. You're going to be walking around a lot, so you don't want to wear your feet out. Bring a spare battery charger, to charge your phone or whatever device you have, because yes, there are technically outlets and electrical places for you to plug your devices in, but they're going to be few and far between when they're open. So bringing a spare charger is definitely a must. Bottle of water, because there's going to be a lot of people there. And this is true for any of the major cons. There's going to be a lot of people. You're going to get a little dehydrated walking around so much. So definitely bring a bottle of water. And also, if you are going to New York Comic Con, and this is your first time going to New York Comic Con, cannot stress this enough. Bring a bagged lunch.
Mm-hmm.
New York City food prices are expensive.
Yes.
If you've ever been to the city, you know this. They're even more expensive when you get into the Javits Center and, the stuff in there. Which, hey, if you want to buy some of the food in there, do you? Hey, they got some, had some of their stuff. It's pretty good. But you can't, I can't exactly comfortably swing those prices, 4 or 5 days in a row. So definitely bring, a bag lunch if you can, and like I said, comfy pair of shoes, spare battery charger, and just have fun.
Absolutely. And if you want even some more information about the do's and don'ts, there's a blog up that I wrote for nerdinitiative.com. It's the latest letters to the editor, number 2, entitled NYCC. Here we go. So if you want some more information about that, nerdinitiative.com. But let's get into the panels. This is what we showed up for, this celebration of fandoms. There's a lot going on this year. Obviously, with the strikes going on for SAG-AFTRA, still, that is going to play a little bit of a factor for this year. But the Writers Guild strike is finally done. The writers got their money. Awesome time. So let's celebrate and let's start talking some fandoms, Pad.
Yeah, so the first one I'm going to mention takes place on Thursday, and all of these times are Eastern, by the way, 12:45 p.m. in the Empire Stage, and this is the Dragon Ball Special Panel. And the description of this one reads, delivering the latest information on the world-famous manga and anime franchise Dragon Ball. We talk about new developments in the Dragon Ball series, along with a mysterious new trailer. Also, the appearance of special guests. Close quote. So, obviously, we talked about a couple weeks ago, there is the supposed, rumored, leaked new series coming called Dragon Ball Magic.
Yep.
Would expect, as was predicted, this is where we're going to find out about it. Wouldn't be surprised if we get some of the video appearance from some of the voice cast from over on the Japanese side. Maybe we get some of the English voice cast there. They're not listed for like autograph sessions or photo ops, but they could fly in for a panel and if they're in town or something. But this, if you're a Dragon Ball fan, this is definitely 12:45. You're gonna want to, if you're there, you definitely gonna want to be there. If you can't be there, pay attention to social media because this is about the time. I would say maybe about 5, 10, maybe even 15 minutes into the panel. So about 1 o'clock Eastern, you're gonna start hearing stuff.
No, absolutely. Dragon Ball is going to have a big presence this year at New York Comic Con. A lot of anime is definitely going to be in full force. So if you're an anime fan, you're definitely going to like a lot of the big panels this year.
Yeah.
So there's a lot, like I say, that's just one fandom to talk about. Me, I love talking comics, and kicking off my Thursday to go to panels is elsewhere in the DC multiverse.
Ooh.
So this is going to be an interesting one that's kind of spotlights what's going on with the current dawn of DC a little bit. Like, it hasn't been officially labeled that, but according to the website for New York Comic Con, quote, here directly for some of the superstar writers and artists that are creating epic new storylines that push DC's superheroes and supervillains beyond their limits in bold new adventures. So
cool.
The way I'm taking this is you're going to hear a lot of the dawn of DC storylines.
Yeah, this is probably the DC equivalent of Marvel's next big thing that they do every year, where like if you are a DC fan and you want to find out, what they got planned, maybe some early look at some covers of upcoming comics, maybe even find out some new writers who are going to be jumping onto different books. This is going to be the panel to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. DC's got a pretty loaded lineup this weekend. We'll get into a little more as the days go on. Pad, what you got up next?
Up next is on Thursday at 1:30 p.m. in room 405, and this is definitely one that if you are in attendance and you are of a certain age, you definitely want to check this one out. This one is Rob Paulson, Tress MacNeille, Jess Harnell, and Maurice LaMarche, 30 Years of Friendship. With over and it says, quote, with over 100 years of collective experience between the four of these voice actors, there is no shortage of talent between Rob, Tress, Jess, and Maurice. Join these four friends and co-stars as they reflect on their extensive resumes and answer fan questions, close quote. So in case you're not familiar with who these folks are, you've got Maurice LaMarche, he's on Futurama, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's also the Brain from Pinky and the Brain. You've got Jess Harnell, who's in a whole bunch of stuff, but he's also in Animaniacs, along with Rob Paulson, who was also in Animaniacs. He did Pinky, and he also did Yakko. Jess Harnell did Wacko, and then you got Tress MacNeille, who did Dot in Animaniacs. So you've just got four of the best voice actors in the business in the same room. I've been in the same room with Maurice, Jess, and Rob, and it is an absolute riot. I will say this. The last time I was in a room together with all three of them, Rob Paulson started to do the Countries of the World song from Animaniacs, and at that moment I could have died a happy man.
Yeah, no, they always do a great job, like I say, especially in her voice acting. You got the creme de la creme, if I may say.
Yes.
So this is going to be one you definitely want to go check out, and they always put on a great performance. Like, I've gone in there a couple times, too, over the years, and it's always a blast. So you definitely want to check that out.
And they're also, if you're there and you want to check it out and you're an aspiring voice actor, they are not afraid to give some advice.
Yes. Next up for me, though, DC Heroes United, a GenVid interactive series, crafting superhero stories to put fans in charge. So this is going to be taking place on Thursday at 2:30, and going by the press release, GenVid reveals award-winning creative team behind DC Heroes United at New York Comic Con panel. What DC Heroes United, a GenVid active series, is putting fans in charge. The panel is pretty loaded.
Okay.
But Gail Simone is kicking it off. Randy Ma, Brian Bucelato, who has a great new book coming out this week, Midlife. So if you want to check that out via Image, Joshua Hale Felikov, and Stefan Bugia.
Okay.
So this is going to be one, like I say, it's definitely caught my eyes that I was like, okay, I heard about something was going on that was an interactive, but with the lineup of talented writers they have coming here for this is going to be something definitely to check out.
Yeah.
For more information on that, DCHeroesUnited.com.
Okay.
And you can kind of dive into what this interactive series is going to be about. But like I say, with the star power they have on stage for this is going to be something really fun.
Sounds almost like the Walking Dead thing they announced.
Kind of.
A couple months ago, where it's like a fan interactive, like the fans control how things go kind of thing. That's interesting.
Yes.
Next up for me is at 3:45 p.m. Eastern, and it is in room 1C03. And this is From a Certain Point of View, Return of the Jedi, a Star Wars 40th anniversary celebration. And the description of this one reads, quote, on May 25th, 1983, Star Wars cemented its legacy as the greatest movie franchise of all time with the release of Return of the Jedi. In honor of the film's 40th anniversary, join an all-star panel of authors of a new anthology book that recreates iconic scenes from Return of the Jedi through the eyes of a supporting character, from heroes and villains to droids and creatures. This unique panel promises fun new insights into the characters and scenes of the film that you think you know, close quote. And some of the guests on this panel include Jason Fry, who is a noted Star Wars author. You've also got Danielle Page, Aaron Salt Rivera, Sarah Glenn Marsh, Tara Sim, Tim Hohler, and then also Adam Lance Garcia. So these books, if you're a Star Wars fan and haven't read any of them, are just fun. Even if you're not as big a Star Wars nerd and you've just seen the movies, you haven't seen it, you've seen the movies, you've seen the shows, you haven't read the comics, you haven't read any of the books, you are fine to read these books because they've done 3 of them. They did one for A New Hope's 40th, one for Empire Strikes Back 40th, and they just had one come out for Return of the Jedi's 40th. And like it said in the description, what it does is it takes it progresses through the book kind of at the same pace the movie progresses. And it takes one chapter, and it focuses on a side character. So an example I can give, in A New Hope, you've got the bartender in Mos Eisley, who, when 3PO and R2 come in, just says, hey, no droids, we don't allow their kind in here. There's a story in the A New Hope From a Certain Point of View from the bartender's perspective, and it explains why he doesn't allow droids into that bar. There's another chapter in the book where it's from when the 3PO and R2 first escaped from the Imperial Star Destroyer in the Tantive. And you got the gunner who trains the guns on him, and the guy says, oh, no, hold your fire. You find out what's going through that gunner's mind, and like he really thinks he ought to fire on it, but he doesn't want to disobey his commanding officer. Empire Strikes Back, there's one from Yoda's perspective before Luke gets there, and he talks with some folks. So like I said, these books are awesome, and they're just a fun read.
Oh, absolutely. It's something that you definitely want to check out because it gives so much to you like, as a fan.
Adds a lot of depth.
Yes, which is always great because, when you go to these conventions, going to the panels, you want to get as much information as you can, and it's also just saying a thank you for the creative teams that are providing you this. And like I say, to get that much insight to your fandoms, like I say, that's just another plus of going to the cons. Next up for me, Marvel kicks off on a big way Thursday, 3:15. Avengers Assemble, a This Week in Marvel special event.
Wow.
So if you've never been to this, they do a live podcast recording of their This Week in Marvel. Agent M is going to be there, Ryan Pentecost, and he has a lot of people tied into the Avengers franchise for this one because it's in time for the 60th anniversary. So joining him is going to be C.B. Sobalski, Tom Brefort, Jed McKay, and Al Ewing. And there's a lot of books that are coming out with the Avengers line right now. This is going to be one that if you're an Avengers fan, you definitely want to be in the house for. They do a lot of cool things, and the Marvel panels are always a great place to get some really cool swag, too, because they give out a lot of cool giveaways at the end of the panels, too.
Yes, they do.
So if you haven't gone to one of those, I highly recommend checking that out, and that's at 3:15 on Thursday.
Next up for me is at 4:15 on the main stage, and this is Hulu's Futurama screening and panel with creatives behind the show. And this one reads, quote, "The beloved sci-fi animated series Futurama triumphantly returned to Hulu with all new episodes after a brief 10-year hiatus. Celebrate with a room full of Futurama fans as we screen the season finale episode and get a sneak peek at season 12, followed by a panel with the creatives behind the show from 20th Television Animation. And then some of the guests included with this are Claudia Katz, Crystal Chesney Thompson, David X. Cohen, Edmund Fong, Lee Supersinski, and then Peter Avanzino. So this one definitely going to be one to check out if you are in the area and you were a Futurama fan like myself. I haven't caught up on all the episodes yet, but I will say, highly recommend the first episode because it is super meta and it is super hilarious, but definitely want to check out if you are a fan.
Yeah, I was going to say, Futurama it blows my mind it's lasted this long.
Oh, I know, and it's been canceled twice.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, it got, it did. It got canceled once. They did it like some direct to DVD movies, and then they came back, and then they got canceled again, and now they're back again. Yeah, you just can't keep a good show down.
No, but that's the one power of fandoms, too. Like, if you are that passionate and your fellow fans are that vocal about it, too,
yeah,
you never know how loud your voice can get.
This is true.
So, not saying it's a sure shot, but I'm saying it's
worth a shot.
It's worth a shot taken, and you can see with Futurama, that's one show that definitely does that.
Uh-huh.
Closing out Thursday for both Padawan and myself, a show that's very near and dear to our hearts because it is the annual Walking Dead panel.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it, Pat.
Yeah, so this one is AMC Networks and AMC Plus present The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon. This is at 4:15 on the Empire stage. And this one reads, quote, "New York Comic-Con attendees will be the first to see The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon season finale ahead of its airing on Sunday, October 15th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central on AMC and AMC Plus, followed by a Q&A with Chief Content Officer of The Walking Dead universe, Scott M. Gimple, showrunner David Zabel, and executive producer Greg Nicotero, and moderated by Entertainment Weekly's Dalton Ross. Obviously, of course, they will all be there, but also some dude named Norman Reedus is going to be there.
Oh, always a fun time with him.
I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that's going to disappoint him is, unlike the one year at Madison Square Garden, he won't be able to ride into the Empire Room on a motorcycle.
Never say never.
Yeah, maybe.
But probably not.
Probably not.
No, there's a lot going on Thursday. Like I said, The Walking Dead has always been a staple in New York Comic Con, too. It used to be the proverbial
hardest ticket to get.
Hardest ticket in town to get.
Yeah.
So
you a lot of times you needed to know somebody to get in there.
Well, it used to be the time too. I mean, I know we're dating ourselves here, but this is the 10th year I've gone to New York Comic Con. I remember the days when people would go 8 o'clock in the morning to whatever panel was kicking off that day and just sit through because it used to be the Saturday night closer.
Right. And they wouldn't clear the room.
Right, and they never would clear the room. So it was always crazy to see how dedicated the fan base was.
Yeah.
And those were some of the most wild panels, too, because they would be so giving to the fans. And, like I say, it's just an experience that if you weren't a full all-in fan then, you would leave being all-in about the series. So this is going to be kind of bittersweet because I know that obviously they're going to be wrapping up Fear the Walking Dead. That's coming up. The series last few episodes are going to be kicking off later this month. And with Daryl Dixon, and maybe never to say never about surprises because there is the greatest movie we haven't seen yet with Rick and Michonne.
Movie, TV series, TV movie, whatever it is.
Yeah, so that's, like I say, that's something we're going to have to look forward to for that.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get a tease of it.
Yeah, we should definitely shoot them an email about this. Definitely wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I had on my list for Thursday. Pat, how about you?
Just got one more. This is at 5:45 p.m. Eastern on the main stage, and this is Adult Swim presents a first look at new and returning series. So the description of this is, quote, "Immerse yourself in the world of Adult Swim with a must-see screening event. New York Comic-Con fans will be the first to see a collection of new Adult Swim content from the Emmy-winning global phenomenon Rick and Morty, the iconic long-running series Aqua Teen Hunger Force, the second season of the hit series Smiling Friends, and more breaking news. This is a can't-miss event for Adult Swim fans," close quote. So definitely, I know there's a few Rick and Morty fans out there. You know, it's a moderately popular show. Aqua Teen Hunger Force, surprised it's still going. I hadn't heard about that in a couple of years, so I'm a little surprised it's still going. But hey, good for them.
Yeah.
You know, but definitely one to check out if you are a fan of all things Adult Swim.
Yeah, definitely a lot of cool things going on Thursday as well.
Yeah.
And Thursdays, I don't want to say it's the quietest day, but it's a good one to walk around, get familiar where all the booths are.
Calm before the storm.
Yes, and get a true sense of, like, if you want to get autographs, that's a great day to go.
Yeah, because our Artist Alley fills up very quickly on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And definitely make sure you're following your favorite writers and artists
Yes.
on social media so you know.
Turn on notifications.
Yep, so you know when they're going to be signing at what booth.
Yes.
And especially plan time ahead for that as well, because if it's a ticketed event, you need to go early to go get tickets.
Yes, you do.
So keep that in mind. But now we go to Friday.
Yeah.
And a lot of things are going on Friday. This is when things are going to start really ramping up. For me in the morning, this is going to be kicking off with Joe Quesada's Drawing the Line Somewhere. So if you've never gone to him when he used to do the Cup of Joe series when he was the Marvel EIC, it's always a fun time, and it's just him talking to the fans, and it's not just, you know, a sit down conversation. Like it's very captivating every time he does it. So this is going to be one that comic fans, if you want to just go get a little bit of, you know, like a perfect wake up for the morning, this is going to be something to definitely check out.
Yeah. For me, it kicks off at 12:15 on Friday, and this one is in room 409, and this is Cyanide and Happiness, How to Make a Funny. The description of this is, quote, look behind the curtain and learn how Cyanide and Happiness came to be what it is today. Hear from the minds themselves on what makes them tick, also while watching behind the scenes and some early exclusive footage. Think you know funny? So this one definitely, if you've been on the internet at all in the last like 10, 15 years, you're familiar with Cyanide and Happiness. Some good stuff from them. They're very popular, very successful. But to actually hear and get to, you know, I guess, learn what makes them tick and what gets them going and helps them produce their work, very cool.
Oh, absolutely. This is going to be something to really kind of dive into that fandom because, like I say, I'm not too familiar with that, so that's going to be something for me to check out. But like I say, Fridays is going to be a very, very busy morning. Yeah. And there was a late edition that came out, and I'm reading the press release from Image Comics.
Okay.
And that is going to be Friday morning, October 13th, 10:45 a.m., and it's entitled Image Comics Presents the New Wave of Comic Storytelling, Character, and Talent.
Okay.
So on this panel, Rodney Barnes, Charles Soule,
oh boy,
Will Sniley, Ethan Sachs, and Naomi Sachs, who are the team behind A Haunted Girl that's coming out this week.
Right.
And Ryan Parrott.
Hey, we know him.
We do know him. He's a very close friend of the show. So there's something going on there. There's not a lot of details, but that panel has definitely got to be intrigued. And I think there's going to be a lot of news coming out of that, especially involving Ryan. Because according to the press release, it's not saying he's talking Rogue's son. So something new might be in the works.
Might be Dolphin series?
I mean, if that's the case, you'll have to get it for me, or we'll have to get a neutral fan to do that because go Bills. But yeah, a lot of cool things happen. Image is making a little presence known here too. So like I say, this is a late edition. You won't see this on the website, but definitely go check that out.
Next up for me is at 1:45 p.m. Eastern, and that is in room 409, and this is Digimon Adventure Past and Future. So the description of this, it says, quote, join Toei Animation for a Q&A with the producer of the original first two seasons of Digimon Adventure, followed by a special look at the upcoming new film, Digimon Adventure 02, The Beginning. Close quote. So this is super interesting just because, admittedly for me, I watched the original season of Digimon when it aired on television, Fox Kids, way back in the day, like the late 90s, early 2000s, whatever it is. And I kept up through season 2. Season 3 is kind of where I fell off just because it was on at a weird time I wasn't able to watch, and this is before DVR was a thing, and before the internet is what it is. But to see it kind of have a resurgence in the last couple of years, especially with, you know, Digimon Adventure Tri, and then the reimagining of the original season of Digimon, which I know is on Crunchyroll. Caught a couple episodes myself. Highly recommend that if you're a fan of the original series of Digimon when it aired on TV. It's interesting to see some of the different choices they made from the original story to this adaptation, but to find out, you know, get a Q&A with the producer of the original first two seasons and then find out a little bit more about the new movie, even more exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So Digimon definitely has got a fandom behind it, so you definitely want to keep an eye out for that as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of fandoms, 10:45 in the morning, like I say, Friday is loaded.
Yeah, it is.
Metropolis All-Stars.
Ooh.
So this is going to be centered around what is going on in the Superman line of comic books, which has been top-notch.
Yeah, it has.
Since the dawn of DC returned. So expecting a lot of stories going on from the land of Metropolis, and they have not listed who's going to be there, but if I had to make a guess, probably wouldn't doubt a Tom Taylor, probably wouldn't doubt a Joshua Williamson. Like I say, they're not listed.
Philip K. Johnson probably too.
Yep. So like I say, there'll be a star-studded lineup for that, because obviously when you're talking Superman right now, you're going to get a lot of the big names that are working the books right now, and like I say, the series is absolutely crushing it right now, no matter what you're picking up.
Yeah.
So a lot of fun stuff happening there.
Next up for me is at 3 p.m. on the main stage, and this is Goosebumps, a thrilling new series for a new generation on Disney Plus and Hulu. So the description of this says, quote, join the team behind Goosebumps as they screen the premiere episode of the chilling new series inspired by R.L. Stein's worldwide best-selling books. Debuting October 13th on Disney Plus and Hulu from Disney Branded Television and Sony Pictures Television. And some of the guests included on this are Nicholas Stoller and then Rob Letterman. So if you grew up in the 90s, as I did, you're familiar with R.L. Stein stuff, some of the most chilling stuff when we were kids. You know, growing up, the covers scared the absolute crap out of me, and he did some fantastic work. But for having a new Goosebumps series coming back, super excited for that.
Yeah, Goosebumps has definitely lasted the test of time.
Lasted longer than I thought it would. I kind of had the same thought with Goosebumps that I did with Pokemon after a while. I'm like, Pokemon's not surely going to last that long. Well, we're here all these years later. They're both still around.
Oh, it's absolutely crazy to think.
Mm-hmm.
For me, going back to 11 a.m., and this is one on the Empire stage. So whenever you hear the main or Empire stages, this is the really, really big ones.
Oh, yeah.
Apple TV presents Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, based on the Monsterverse.
Oh, yeah.
So this is going to be talking some Godzilla. This is going to be talking... This is a property that is having a lot of hype behind it.
Some of the talent behind it too is, I'm looking it up now because I'm blanking on who's in it, but yeah, no, there's some people attached to this.
Yeah, like I say, anytime you throw the Legacy of Monsters name around, obviously Godzilla is tied to it.
Yeah.
This is going to really captivate the fans, and I know this is going to be one that if you're in attendance for, you definitely want to go check out. And like I say, we, Rich and myself, who are going down as press for ODPH, we're definitely going to be in attendance for this one. And like I say, I expect this one to, I don't want to say sleeper pick, but I think this could be a sleeper pick for the one that really surprises everybody. Because the Monsterverse definitely has a fan base built in, but to see it now come with Apple TV, I'm expecting big things. Well,
and especially when Toho over in Japan is so protective of the property, and understandably so. You know, as long as it's been around, for them to be willing to, branch out and try this, take a risk on it. Kudos to them. But like I said, some notable people attached to the show. Kurt Russell, don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. Christopher Heyerdahl, who you might not know the name, but he was in Under the Banner of Heaven, Hell on Wheels for 40 episodes. He played Thor Gunderson, was on Peacemaker for 4 episodes. He was Captain Casper Locke, and then he was also on Togo. The Disney Plus thing was a movie. And then also Wyatt Russell is on.
U.S. Agent.
Yeah, he's on this as well, U.S. Agent. He was in 22 Jump Street, Overlord, Everybody Wants Some, and Cold in July. So there's some pretty big names attached to this.
Oh, huge names.
Yeah.
Like I say, it made the Empire stage, so that's why you definitely want to go check that out. Like I say, whenever you hear Main and Empire stage, you know it's a big deal.
Not on the Empire stage or the main stage, but still an important panel nonetheless. Taking place at 3 p.m. on Friday in room 405. This is the Crunchyroll Industry Panel. Not a whole lot to this one, but you can expect some big news out of it because this says, quote, hear about all the latest and greatest anime coming out of Crunchyroll straight from the source, close quote. So if you are an anime fan, you know very well that Crunchyroll is kind of the go-to source for anime here in the States.
Yep.
So any of the big stuff coming out on Crunchyroll, this is where you're going to find out about it.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a monster panel to go check out. Especially, let me just kind of lead into what I was going to talk next, and that's My Hero Academia.
Yep.
So that's going to be at the Empire Stage, 5 p.m. on Friday, and it's the original episode world premiere. This is going to be wild. I'm super excited to be in attendance for that.
Nice.
Like I say, My Hero Academia is just amazing.
It's on my list of things to watch. It's a long list.
It's a long one, but you know what? It's definitely worth the watch.
Yeah. Next up for me is at 6 p.m. on the main stage, and this is FX's Archer exclusive screening. So this one reads, quote, FX's Archer, the hit animated spy comedy, returns to the Big Apple for one last blowout celebration. Join us for a can't-miss screening of never-before-seen footage and stay for additional surprises, including a New York Comic-Con exclusive giveaway and a very special announcement. Close quote. So, of course, Archer returning here very shortly, if it's not back already, for one final season. Going to get a look at that, and who knows what else you might get. Maybe like some sort of movie? Never know. Never know.
You never know, and that's the beauty of con, that you might find out some information concerning that.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's just something about the fandoms you find out about, especially Archer. God, that's another one that I can't believe has lasted as long as it has.
I tried watching it, and like I got through a couple episodes in the first season. It wasn't for me.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it really is acquired for
Yeah.
them. So next up for me, there's a panel that definitely caught my eye, and it just with the people involved, Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, it's the Mad Ghost Building the Future. So it's about their imprint going on 12/15 on Friday. A lot of comic news happening there. But the one that, and then another great one too, Star Trek Boldly going with IDW publishing at 3 p.m.
Nice.
If you haven't checked out the IDW stuff, they're absolutely killing it right now with their Star Trek brand. So it's going to be one to really keep an eye on. But like I say, when we're talking comics, Marvel, Amazing Spider-Man Gang War.
Uh-oh.
So
saw the cover of that.
Yes, we were very fortunate to be sent the press release for this from Marvel, and this is no joke. I understand how things have been with the Amazing Spider-Man brand since issue 25. We'll just leave it. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But it looks like things are getting back on track to being the Amazing Spider-Man that we all know and love. This is going to be a panel with Nick Lowe, Zeb Wells, Greg Pak, and Erica Schultz, and they're talking literally this great new crossover that is taking place there. And like I say, if you're not ready for it, there's a lot of characters involved. This is like a throwback for me.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to hear what they got to talk about Gang War. And like I say, the art they had for it, Ryan Stegman, I believe, drew it. Amazing.
Son tells me, and this is without knowing anything, someone's not going to make it out of there.
They can't.
Like either alive or in one piece.
Yeah.
It's like something's going to change and it's going to be ground shaking.
And that's one great thing, because Spider-Man, if you're involved in this many heroes involved, and we're talking Cloak and Dagger, we're talking Luke Cage.
Well, yeah. Well, and especially you look at the cover art or the promo art they put out with all of the villains on the one side, and you just look at the list of who's on that part of the page. That's a heavy hitters list.
Absolutely.
Next up for me is at 6 p.m. in room 408, and this is Todd McFarlane Productions Spotlight panel.
Ooh.
So this one reads, quote, Editor-in-Chief Thomas Healy discusses the current slate of Spawn Universe projects, along with a few new announcements for the 2024 publishing schedule. Thomas, along with Spawn Universe artists Javier Fernandez, Carlo Barberi, Von Randall, and more surprise guests will do a Q&A after the presentation with the Spawn fans in attendance. It is sure to be one hell of a time.
See what you did there.
Thank you.
And you know what? Not wrong. Todd McFarlane. I mean, need I say more?
No, you really shouldn't. Like, the name itself gets fans excited. Wouldn't be surprised if he shows up and talks about a certain movie he's got planned. Wink, wink.
Well, that's been one that has been
on the burner there for a while.
I was going to say, it's had a lot of interest for quite some time.
If there's anything I know about cooking, you leave it on the burner too long, you burn and ruin the meal.
Yeah, but you know what? With everything connected to that, we keep on hearing the stuff of legend, it's coming. So
it's kind of like the Flash movie.
Yeah, exactly. So if we're going to ever hear anything about Spawn, that's going to be the place for it. And closing out for me on Friday, 4:30 p.m. Marvel Multiverse role-playing game, the official live play. So this is the brand new RPG that Marvel came out with.
Yep.
And if you're into RPGs, this is one to go check out. This is starting to pick up a lot of steam. I know a lot of fans are talking about it.
Been a while since they've done one.
Yeah, I mean, I remember playing the TSR game way back when. Not ashamed to say it, folks. I did. And I have this picked up. I just have not dabbled in it.
Sure.
It's on my things to do list, but
it's a long list.
My list it's growing. It's not getting shorter. So at some point, I'll definitely check this out. But as far as me playing it, but I wouldn't mind going to see this live and see how it's kind of all worked out. There's a lot of things to be said about the resurgence of RPGs too. Like I say, Dungeons and Dragons is very, very much
ongoing,
alive and well. And you think about everything else for like Magic the Gathering and the stuff that's related to it.
So
I should
Dungeons
say.
and Dragons Critical Role is going to be there.
Yep, Critical Role is going to be there. I mean, obviously they're having a huge presence down there, to say the least. So there's a lot of big wins to be had for Friday and Thursday. Like I say, we're only halfway into New York Comic Con, but I think it's a good time to get a quick breakout. So hit us up on that hashtag ODPH pod. What is your thoughts about Thursday and Friday? What panels are jumping out to you on those 2 days? Hit us up and let us know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do you like comic books?
What about movies and TV shows?
Well, we may be the show for you.
We're Hops Geek News, a weekly podcast that discusses comics, movies, and TV shows while featuring a beer of the week.
Every week we chat about what we messed up on the week before, and then we dive into what we're reading and watching, as well as some news.
We then wrap it up with a geek-themed topic of the week.
You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts by searching Hops Geek News.
Cheers.
Coming back for the special New York Comic Con preview edition of the ODPH podcast. Last segment we talked about Thursday and Friday. Now let's get into Saturday, which is arguably the most stacked day of the week, and Sunday to take it home, Pat.
Yeah, so starting off for me at 1:45 p.m. on the Empire stage, this is the Star Trek Universe panel.
Ooh.
So the description of this is the fan favorite Star Trek universe returns to New York Comic Con, featuring a special advanced screening of an all-new episode from the current season of the hit Paramount Plus original animated comedy series, Star Trek Lower Decks. Plus, more exciting reveals and surprises for Star Trek fans in attendance. So who knows what you're going to get from this? Maybe a new show, season of a show you weren't expecting. Who knows? But it should be exciting stuff.
It's definitely going to be very, very exciting.
Yeah.
So definitely you want to keep an eye out for that. For me, 10:45 in the morning is going to be a highly contested battle. I would say maybe on the lines of NXT versus AEW, possibly. Possibly, if you know, you know. We have TMNT, the next mutation of the Turtle Power from IDW Publishing. So everything going on with The Last Ronin is and above and beyond is going to be talked about there at 10:45. But the one that I'm giving the slight edge to just because of the impact it's made with the fans right now, and that is Skybound Entertainment and Image Comics, Transformers, and G.I. Joe, Welcome to the Energon Universe. So like I say, both of these panels are great to go, but the Energon Universe, if you have not jumped on board yet, holy smokes. Transformers #1 by Daniel Warren Johnson is an absolute monster. If you haven't read that, you need to go pick it up. And this is going to be highlighting the plans they have moving forward with the G.I. Joe and Transformers shared universe, with ties into obviously the surprise hit of the year, Void Rivals, which kicked everything off. So you're looking at a lot of the who's who of this universe: Robert Kirkman, Daniel Warren Johnson, Joshua Williamson, just to name a few. You're going to find out a lot of information about what they have planned, and it's going to be an exciting time. And like I say, they've already hit the ground running. So technically, it's like 5 issues in complete, and comics fans are buzzing about this. So like I say, this is probably my, as I've said numerous times, this is like my one AAAA because there's so much good stuff going on this entire weekend. But this panel is going to be one not to miss, along with the TMNT one. Like, I have to figure out how I can be 2 places at once because it's going to be tough, but I need to figure this out.
You figure that out, you'll make a lot of people happy, and if you teach them how to do it.
Yes.
Next up for me is at 3 p.m. Eastern in room 406.1, and this is Water, Earth, Fire, Air, continuing the Avatar legacy. So this one reads, Abrams Books, Dark Horse Comics, Nickelodeon, and Magpie Games are thrilled to treat fans to a panel worthy of the Avatar. Join publishing's creators and writers of Avatar The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra for an exploration of the beloved world. So some of the folks announced for this are Faith Aaron Hicks, James Mendez Hodes, and FCE. Notably, FCE is written like a good number of Avatar books. No, they've done at least 3 with Avatar Kyoshi, at least 2 or 3 with Avatar Yanghen, I think is how you say it. You know, got a whole bunch coming out. They're on my list to read. I got a long list of books to read. I'm a very busy individual, but definitely one to check out and keep your eye out on for all things Avatar announcements, because hey, you never know what they're going to say.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things getting leaked out about that franchise moving forward, so you definitely want to keep your ears out for that.
Yep.
For me, like I say, Saturday morning is going to be an absolute monster. Dark Horse Horror Hour. So noon, Saturday, Kyle Starks, Leah Kilpatrick, Tate Brombill, David Dashman, and Aaron Sager, and somebody by the name of Scott Snyder.
Nah, never heard of him.
Talking all things horror.
Oh, wait, we interviewed the guy.
Yes, and we are going to be interviewing him sometime in the near future. Stay tuned. If you're a patron, you already knew this, so you already had the inside scoop. But for everybody else, stay tuned. ... So in the meantime, though, if it's the perfect time of year, it's horror season,
Spooky season.
Yep, a lot of things going on, so you can definitely go check that out and really hear some great tales. Like I say, it's a really star-studded panel, but like I say, it's just everything's coinciding at that time. So, like I say, when I'm saying Saturday is loaded, folks,
Yeah, it does.
it's loaded.
Yeah. Next up for me is at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on the main stage, and this is Meet the Voice Cast of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, hosted by Matt Mercer. So this one reads, quote, "Before the highly anticipated PlayStation 5 exclusive Final Fantasy VII Rebirth launches on February 29th, 2024, we invite you to spend an afternoon with the actors that lend their voices to some of the most iconic video game characters of all time, including Cody Christensen, who plays Cloud Strife, John Eric Bentley, who plays Barrett Wallace, Britt Barron, who plays Tifa Lockhart, Max Middleman, who plays Red 13, Susie Young, who plays Yuffie, and it goes on to say, hosted by renowned voice actor and star of Critical Role Matt Mercer, the all-star cast of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will discuss what it's like to voice such recognizable characters, as well as share some can't-miss behind-the-scenes stories about creating the game. There might even be some surprise guests from Japan. Everyone that attends the panel will receive an exclusive poster featuring characters from the game.
Oh, you can't beat that.
Absolutely not. Super looking forward to this fucking game.
Yeah.
Just saying. Played through the first Final Fantasy VII remake. One of my favorite games in recent memory.
Yeah, but the fact that video games are going to be featured in this stage, like I
On
say,
the main stage.
yeah, that's a big deal. Like,
You know it's a big deal.
exactly. I don't think, unless you go to New York Comic Con, like you don't understand how big of a deal that is. So, like, we're not just overselling it.
Yeah.
This is a monster.
Usually it's like actor or actress interviews, reunion panels, screeners, or like, I know, what was it? The voice acting, where they read the movie scripts. I forget. I'm blanking on the name of it right now. But like when they do that is there. But like video, I can't remember the last time they had a video game, anything on the main stage.
Yeah, in Super Mario Brothers, they talked the movie, so that doesn't
Right.
count. That doesn't count.
Yeah. No, but for just like a straight video game. Yeah.
Yeah. Next up for me, 1:45 on Saturday, Marvel Fanfare with CB Sobalski.
Uh-huh.
So this is going to be, it's almost done in the same vein as Cup of Joe, but it's CB talking with some guests about a lot of things Marvel. And it's kind of a open discussion. You never know who's going to show up for it. All you know is it's going to be a great conversation, and you definitely want to go check it out because it's going to be a precursor for something else, which we'll get to in just a little bit.
Next up for me is at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on the Empire stage, and this is Prime Video presents The Power of Prime.
Prime.
Not Optimus Prime and not Prime hydration. No, this one reads, quote, "Join Prime Video at New York Comic Con's Empire stage for a special presentation featuring exclusive first looks and never before seen footage of returning fan favorite series and highly anticipated new series." I wonder what that could mean.
Definitely want to keep an eye out for that because, if they're talking about some new series, that's a stay tuned. ... if I've ever heard one. So definitely want to keep an eye out for that. Next up for me, 2:15, coming up in the multiverse. So this is going to be more about the DC, Dawn of DC era, and with the names involved, you have an idea what we're going to be talking about. So Cy Spurrier, who is the writer of the new Flash series.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy Adams, who's definitely blowing up at DC right now. Aaron Campo, Cami Garcia, Tim Sheridan, and Cian Tormey. And a guy by the name of, I don't know if you heard of him, Tom Taylor.
The name kind of rings a bell.
So expecting a lot of Nightwing news
Yes.
to be coming out of this panel. That is my early guess at it.
If you're not reading Nightwing right now, what's wrong with you?
Seriously, Nightwing is so good.
It's the reason it's won on awards.
Left and right. So this is going to be one definitely keep an eye out for if you're a DC fan. The Dawn of DC, I can't stress enough. If you've been turned away by DC Comics for whatever reason, this has been a perfect time to jump back in. It reminds you why you like these heroes. So
Yeah. Next up for me is at 4:45 p.m. Eastern. This is in room 405, and this is the Naruto Shippuden panel by Viz Media. So the description of this one says, quote, "Put on your headbands and come celebrate Naruto's birthday with Miles Flanagan, the iconic English voice of Naruto Uzumaki. Listen to her many voice acting battle stories and discover how she found her own ninja way, plus announcements, prizes, games, and more." Believe it. So definitely should be expecting some stuff out of this, because I know there was it's the 20th anniversary of Naruto, the original series anniversary this year. And they were supposed to have done something like with new episodes or something with new episodes, like, because the team has been on Boruto for a couple of years now, and they haven't really done anything with Naruto because, hey, we're moving on in the story. But they were supposed to do like remakes or reimaginations or something to do with Naruto that like got pushed back. They needed more time to work on it, something of the sort. So wouldn't be surprised if we get an announcement on that, maybe some firm dates, because this is coming from Viz Media, who are the ones behind the Naruto anime. Mm-hmm. So you may get some interesting stuff out of this one.
Yeah, like we said, the anime properties coming to New York Comic Con, huge this year. Mm-hmm. And Naruto is one of them, so
yes, they are.
Definitely have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
This is a brand new one I just heard about right before we went on air.
Okay.
So 3 p.m. Saturday, Arcbound. A first look with co-creators Scott Snyder, Frank Thierry, and Ryan Smallman. So this is, like I say, all the information we were talking, NewYorkComicCon.com. So this is a brand new book I have not heard anything about. But knowing the names, this is going to break me because I need to find out how to clone myself because of the panel I'm going to talk about next. But this is one that, I mean, obviously you put Scott on any panel, it's going to be a must attend. He's fantastic. He's the unofficial king of New York Comic Con.
Right.
But let alone you got him teaming up with Frank Thierry and then Ryan Smallman. And this is one that, like I say, I'm just hearing about. So I definitely need to dive into this a little more. And I will by the time we get to next week's episode to have a little more picked out. But I'm looking at all the socials right now. Definitely going to have to start dropping those files and deep dive into what is happening here. Because, like I say, this is one that if I wasn't too mistaken, it was I heard rumors of something. This is it. So definitely I will admit I'm caught off guard a little bit, but I will definitely catch up by next week.
And next up for me on Saturday is at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on the main stage, and this is the One Piece dub villains panel. Good Lord, this is going to be one to attend if you are a One Piece fan, because listen to this. Quote, "Join Crunchyroll and Toei Animation for an early One Piece dub episode premiere screening, followed by Q&A with the English dubbed voices for some of One Piece's most iconic villains. Panelists include David Sobolov, the English voice of Kaido, Gabe Kunda, the English voice of King. David Sobolov is the English voice of Kaido in One Piece. He's also the voice of Eplek, Battletrap, and Rhinox in Paramount's Transformers: Rise of the Beast.
Okay.
Volibear in the video game League of Legends. Gorilla Grodd in CW's The Flash. Drax in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy animated series. You'll hear David as the Centurion in Alita Battle Angel. Multiple Klingons in Star Trek Into Darkness. Various creatures in Dungeons and Dragons. Honor Among Thieves, and as one of the Reavers in Serenity. David studied acting with Sanford Meisner at the Neighborhood Playhouse in New York and is represented by CESD. And then Gabe Kunda is a voice actor from Dallas, Texas, celebrated for his remarkable ability to breathe life into iconic characters across various media platforms. Some of the notable roles are King in One Piece, Anarius in Diablo 4, Lock in My Hero Academia, and Delling in Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury. Beyond entertainment, Gabe has lent his voice to commercials for renowned brands like Toyota and CNN. And outside the recording studio, he demonstrates his vocal talents as the bass singer for the Grammy-nominated group King's Return.
Really?
Additionally, Gabe is not only deeply committed to philanthropy throughout his nonprofit organization, Light Motif Foundation, but is also in the process of creating his upcoming comic, Star Child. Close quote. So this one definitely going to be something to check out because One Piece, hugely popular, hugely successful, even more so these days after the Netflix anime.
Massive
adaptation.
Yeah.
A lot of folks checking out the One Piece anime now. So definitely want to check out if you are a fan.
Yeah, definitely don't want to miss that. And then for me, this is arguably my panel for comics for the week. I've said this all the time. Nothing has changed going into this weekend. Marvel's next big thing, 3:15 Saturday. This is going to be a monster panel. So if you're into Spider-Man, you're into the Ultimates, you're into X-Men, you're into Avengers, you need to be in attendance. No questions asked. C.B. Cebulski, Jed McKay, Jerry Dugan, and Jonathan Hickman are all going to be in attendance, and they're talking about the new books like The Resurrection of Magneto. They're talking about the Fall of X is here. The Krakoan era is wrapping up, it seems like. So a lot of stories are happening here. The Avengers Twilight, which is the new Chip Zdarsky book, and then Ultimate Spider-Man by Jonathan Hickman.
Oh, boy.
This has been teased. So there's going to be a lot of information coming out of this one. This is my pick of the weekend for comics. So you definitely want to make sure, if you are a fan of Marvel, get to this panel 3:15 Saturday. So let me jump back, though, to 12:15, because I almost forgot about this because, like I say, Marvel is coming real heavy lineup. Skybound, not to be outdone, though. Skybound has a really loaded lineup for Saturday. Can you believe, Pad, we are going to celebrate the 20th anniversaries of The Walking Dead
Good God.
and Invincible comic series.
Wow.
So there's going to be a panel 12:15 with Robert Kirkman, and that's literally the title of it. Invincible and Walking Dead celebrates 20 years. It blows my mind that we are here, because you think about both of those properties and how they've just impacted pop culture,
Right.
and even the comic book format alone. I mean, The Walking Dead was arguably such a surprise hit out of nowhere,
Right.
that it overtook a lot and really transcended into pop culture, where, let's face it, for a couple of years, it was the show on TV. Like, there's always that one show,
Right, yeah.
and that was The Walking Dead. And now it still refuses to die. It still is producing out spinoff after spinoff.
Still churning out stuff.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's awesome to see. And then you think about Invincible, and that now coming on the animated side to Amazon Prime.
Yep.
Season 2 is set to drop in November.
Super excited.
Yeah,
it's been forever since season 1.
Yeah, very excited about that. So, but to even think about what that comic has done for modern superheroes.
Yeah.
I mean, I always compare that with Radiant Black.
Yes.
For redefining what we know as the modern superhero in this day and age.
Well, and it's also taking, let's face it, a genre which has been around, for like 100 years now. The superhero, the superpowered individual, and like taking a genre that, like, we all know, we all love, we've all read it at some point to various degrees, but like gone a different way with it.
Yeah.
Where they didn't go the Marvel way and they didn't go the DC way. They kind of like took both ways, threw them in a blender, added some seasoning and some spices, and came out with something admittedly very good.
Oh yeah, completely caught everybody off guard, and to think about like the impact that's left.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one thing when you talk about books these days and characters and heroes, to see what is left is always astonishing, and the legacy they leave behind. Because I know when creators are getting into this mind frame, I don't think anybody ever thinks like that long term. Like, it's gonna go last the test of time,
Right?
Yet here we are, and it's such an amazing feat to see that you just have to stand back and acknowledge it. Like, it's very cool. So like, that is gonna be one. Definitely keep an eye out for. Also on Saturday, 4:30 p.m., Gotham City Confidential. So that's the more Batman-centric panel. Always a fun time. It's one of my favorite ones to go to, so I definitely highly recommend that. At the main stage, though, 5 p.m., Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. So this is with the series creators Brian Lee O'Malley and Ben David Grabinski. So this is about the upcoming Netflix series, and if you know anything about pop culture, Scott Pilgrim is definitely a very unique fandom there.
Great movie.
Yeah, but the fact that it's now going to be transitioning to a new Netflix show.
Great video game, too. If you haven't seen that, pick that up.
Yeah, that's definitely worthwhile picking up. So, like I say, those are great for Saturday, but we'd be remiss if we did not mention about a massive one, a gigantic one. 6 p.m. Saturday night, Nerd Initiative presents Mastering the World of Makeup Design, featuring Oscar-winning makeup artist John Caglione Jr. So in this panel, you are going to have, I'm just going to read the description because I feel if I don't do it, I'm not going to do enough justice. Jump into the world of makeup and character building as Academy and Emmy Award-winning John Caglione Jr., Oscar for Dick Tracy, Emmy for Angels in America, the artist that helped bring Heath Ledger's Joker to life. Shows off his craft with a cosplay demonstration that shares stories of firsthand experience working on the movies and shows we love. Sponsored by Mayron Makeup, the leader of professional cosplay stage and screen makeup, end quote. All from NewYorkComicCon.com. So this is going to be huge.
That's cool.
Yep. We're going to have Michael Rothman, Mr. Marvelite, and our good friend, cell phone wallet keys himself, Mickey Smith, in the building.
Okay.
And there's some surprises going on. It's the Nerd Initiative team doing it. I will definitely be in attendance for this, and this is going to be a fun panel. Like I'm super excited to see it. The brand is taking off.
Allegedly, the Marvel suits will be there to escort anyone out if they try causing any trouble.
Yep.
Allegedly.
So,
if you know the Marvel suits, you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are rumored to be in attendance. Rumored. But this is going to be a fun panel. I'm super excited to see the team blow up like this, and really, this is I think the third major con that they've had a panel for.
Nice.
Not saying next year we're going to have a live turn of page, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, throwing that in the karma, but still, this is going to be a great panel to go see, and a great way to cap off Saturday night, too, because like I say, Saturday is so loaded, throughout the day, and I know I've missed a couple other panels, but honest to God, man, where do you go wrong? That is so loaded, I don't even know how you're going to find time to do anything else that day. Just saying. And then we transition to Sunday, Pat.
Yeah.
And what you got kicking off for you?
Kicking off for me on Sunday is at 1:15 p.m. on the Empire stage, and this is Disney Plus original series Percy Jackson and the Olympians Sneak Peek. So this reads, quote, the highly anticipated Disney Plus original series makes its debut at New York Comic Con with an exclusive sneak peek. Based on the best-selling book by award-winning author Rick Riordan, Percy Jackson and the Olympians tells the fantastical story of a 12-year-old modern demigod, Percy Jackson, who's just coming to terms with his newfound divine powers. When the sky god Zeus accuses him of stealing his master lightning bolt, Percy sets off on an adventure of a lifetime with his friends Grover and Annabeth to find it and restore order to Olympus. Percy Jackson's and the Olympians will debut with a 2-episode premiere on December 20th on Disney Plus from Disney branded television and 20th television. So this show, admittedly, I know they did a movie, and I know the first movie did moderately well, and the second one, not so much. But I know the book series is super popular, and I think they've even got a new book coming out here in the near future. But the cast of this show is absolutely fucking bonkers, because you've got Walker Scobell playing Percy Jackson. He was young Adam in the Adam Project, most notably. Also in this show, just some of the names, because I don't have time to go through all of them. But playing the role of Zeus, the late, the great Lance Reddick.
Oh, nice.
Who you know from was in the John Wick franchise, played Silence in the Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West games, among a whole host of other things. Fantastic actor.
Yes.
Also in the show, playing the role of Ares, some dude, you think you know him, Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge in the WWE. He's playing the role of Ares. He is in this show. Also in the show, playing the role of Poseidon, that is the god of water, gentleman by the name of Toby Stevens. You might know him. He was in 13 Hours, Hunter Killer. He was also in one of the James Bond movies. He was Gustav Graves in Die Another Day. He was one of the main villains in that film. You've also got a gentleman by the name of Timothy Amundsen, Omundson. He's playing Hephaestus. You might know this individual. He was in Mission Impossible 3, was on the TV show Psych for 120 episodes. He was also in Starship Troopers, and he was also in Judging Amy, so he is in the show as well. And also you have got a woman by the name of Jessica Parker Kennedy. She is playing the role of Medusa. You might know her most recently as Nora West Allen from the Flash TV series.
Okay.
She is in the show as well. And then you also have a woman by the name of Virginia Cull. She is playing Sally Jackson. You might know her from shows such as she was in Big Little Lies, Boardwalk Empire, The Looming Tower, and she was also in the reboot, remake, whatever you want to call it, of Twin Peaks. Lot of cast in this show. Looks super interesting.
Very star-studded cast.
Star-studded cast. Like I said, comes out December 20th, but super interested to see what comes out of this panel.
Oh, absolutely. For me, on Sunday, there is a panel that when I read who is going to be in attendance for this, I immediately said, oh, I know what this is about, and I definitely am trying to make it, but Sunday is going to be a very tight day for me personally. And this is Behind the Comics page with Scott Snyder and company. So this is, I'm just going to read the cast, and then this should tip off a lot of people. Scott Snyder, his son Jack Snyder, Valeria Fevcosia, and Tula Lote. So on this panel, 3 of those names are tied to a great new book that is out today on Comixology Originals entitled By a Thread.
Nice.
I imagine they're going to be talking about that book here. And if you have not picked it up yet, seriously, after the show, go right over to Comixology Originals and go get this. It's a fantastic book. The review is up right now at odphpodcast.com and nerdinitiative.com. Tula Lote, though, being there, they're going to be talking some Barnstormers, which, if everybody knows, is obviously such a fantastic series. This is going to be a really cool panel, and especially they're deep diving into, the behind the scenes of both books. Super excited for this. So like I say, I can't recommend this one enough for Sunday if you're going to be in attendance.
And then for me on Sunday, I can't believe this got pushed back to Sunday. A little offended by this. Yeah. But hey, it's still happening. It is my favorite panel of the entire weekend. Lucasfilm Publishing, Stories from a Galaxy Far, Far Away. This is taking place at 1:30 p.m. Eastern in room 1B02. And this is the panel, if you are a Star Wars fan and a fan of Star Wars books, you have to attend. You never know what's going to happen at this panel. The one year I went, Timothy Zahn showed up and announced a new Throne book.
Yeah.
Out of the blue, he's like, so they're going down the list. I'm like, what have you been working on? And he goes, well, I just turned in a first draft for a new Thrawn novel, and the price went bonkers. The description of this one, though, reads, from the days of the glorious High Republic to the age of rebellion to the time of the fearsome First Order. Join some of Lucasfilm Publishing's all-star authors, including Megan Cruz, Claudia Gray, John Jackson Miller, Charles Soule, and E.K. Johnston as they discuss stories from throughout the entire Star Wars saga, including reveals, announcements, special guests, and sneak peeks. Moderated by Lucasfilm Publishing creative director Michael Siglin. So in case you aren't familiar, obviously Charles Soule writes like every Star Wars comic these days. Fantastic work. Can't recommend it enough. Claudia Gray has worked on some stuff such as Star Wars Lost Stars, which is a fucking amazing book if you haven't read it.
Yes.
Came out in 2015, set during the original trilogy, young adult book, but not young adult by any stretch of the imagination. Also did some work with the High Republic. She wrote Star Wars: The High Republic Into the Dark, and also Star Wars: The High Republic: The Fallen Star. E.K. Johnson wrote the Ahsoka novel along with Queen's Shadow, Queen's Peril, Queen's Hope, and The Crimson Climb. So definitely give some of those a read. And then John Jackson Miller worked on some of the, not so much recent stuff, which, hey, he's there. He might be writing something new. Worked on some of the Star Wars stuff. He did some comics for Knights of the Old Republic, Knight Errant, Lost Tribe of the Sith. He also did Star Wars Kenobi, which a lot of people consider like the prequel, unofficial, inspiration for the Kenobi series. He also did the Lost Tribe of the Sith short stories back in 2012. He also worked on Star Wars: A New Dawn and Star Wars: The Living. He's got the new one, Star Wars: The Living Force, coming out in 2024. So if you are a Star Wars fan, go to this panel. You will thank me later.
Absolutely. No, this is always one that's a highlight of the weekend, and anything Star Wars is going to be absolute money. So
Yes.
this is going to be one to definitely check out.
Yes.
Sunday, 1:30 p.m. for me, remembering John Romita.
Oh.
So reading the clip right from NewYorkComicCon.com, Marvel artist John Romita Sr. was instrumental in the creation of Marvel characters, including the Kingpin and Mary Jane Watson, and oversaw the design and introduction of Wolverine, the Punisher, Luke Cage, and many, many more. Join friends and colleagues as they remember one of the greatest legends in comics history. So this is definitely going to be one to check out. Like I say, John Romita Jr. or Sr. rather is a legend,
Yeah.
bona fide legend in the business. John Romita Jr. is one as well, and like I say, knowing when you see their work is just how influential they, both are. But I mean, especially John Romita Sr.
Yes.
just defined what Marvel was for so long. This is going to be an absolute must-attend panel. So if you are in New York City on Sunday for the con, you definitely want to keep that one out. Like I say, you're going to hear a lot of great stories, and like remembering one of the legends in comics. Like I say, can't stress that enough, man.
One of the greats.
Absolutely. Also on Sunday is Marvel's Women of Marvel panel. So this is one that is always a great conversation. The Women of Marvel return to New York, join Ellie Pyle, Jennifer Grunwald, and some more of Marvel's mightiest women as they share what it's like for women to working in the industry today while teasing what's next in the Marvel's stunning slate of women-led projects. Don't miss the always lively discussion. Be sure to stick around for the exclusive giveaway at the end, straight from NewYorkComicCon.com. So like I say, it's a great panel to go to. So if, like I say, back-to-back on Sundays, they really loaded up Sunday And
Yeah.
usually it's like
Sunday's a quiet day. It's like for the kids.
Yeah, Sunday is always the quiet day, and it's the getaway day, but this one definitely not the case here. So you definitely have a lot to go for. And then my last one on Sunday, though, Invincible bringing Adam Eve to video games. So this is one that just reading right from NewYorkComicCon.com. Join Jill Murray, Rossi Gifford, Mike Rogers, Mary Araz, and Lauren Lemon as they discuss how they created the upcoming video game Invincible presents Adam Eve. Learn from veterans in the video game industry of how they approach the creative direction, narrative, and design and art direction to adapt the beloved comic book and animated series to the video game format. Great way to cap off Sunday, too. Like I said, there's a lot more panels going on, too. Sunday is a half day if anybody's not familiar with, so you really kind of have to pick and choose what you're going to for that. But, I mean, overall, a lot of stuff that's a big win.
Yeah.
I mean, Pat, what's jumping out to you? This is like if you have to go, this is one panel you got to go to.
For me, it's the Dragon Ball panel, just because Dragon Ball has been, a part of my fandom and my life for about as long as Star Wars has. Star Wars for me started in 97 when they re-released the films in theaters, and Dragon Ball was around that same time, airing on I remember it aired weekday mornings on one of the random low number channels we had here locally. And I remember first turning it on going, what in the world is this? And being hooked almost immediately. So, and it's been quiet lately, Dragon Ball Super, while the dub finished just a couple of years ago, the original, I watched it, I'm not trying to say I don't know how I might, but I watched it when it was releasing on Crunchyroll at 9 p.m. on Saturday and breaking Crunchyroll on a weekly basis. They're back in those days, you had to watch the episode on PC because your phone or your tablet or your TV would not load it. You needed to go PC, but I remember watching it when it was coming out, airing as soon as it finished airing in Japan.
Yeah.
And that was back in 2015, 2016. So the series has been, for the official canon stuff, has been quiet for a number of years now. And they've had the movies. They had Broly, which came out, and they had a Dragon Ball Superhero, which also came out. But you've got the manga that's ongoing, but in terms of the stuff on screen, it's been quiet. So to find out what's going to come next from that franchise and keep it going forward, I'm super excited to find out what it is and when I can watch it.
No, that's a great pick, Pat. For me, I'm kind of torn because just for the overall weekend, the My Hero Academia one is jumping out to me. I'm super excited to go check that out. But, I mean, the comics one, as I've said multiple times, is 1A, 1AA, 1AAA. There really isn't a bad one. There's no bad panels, period.
Right.
But if I have to choose one, I really have to say, this is my go-to, is Marvel's Next Big Thing. I think there's going to be so much information coming out of this one that if you're a comic fan, you need to be in attendance for, or you need to be locked in on social media, because not saying this is the Hall H moment for comics, but there's a lot that's coming. So this is a super exciting time to be a fan. And like I say, if you're going to the Javits this weekend, be a fan, be respectful, enjoy learning about everybody's fandoms as you're standing in line, talk with some, fellow fans of if you see a Star Wars fan, go talk to them about Star Wars. You see about Marvel, talk DC, talk Lord of the Rings, talk Harry Potter, talk whatever, because that's how you build those friendships, and those are the ones that last. And that's the whole thing about con. Celebrating your fandoms, thanking the creators, go buy some merch, go to Artist Alley, go meet some new creators, do something to just celebrate your fandom and be loud and don't back down from it. Because like I say, this is the best time of year to go, and pop culture is going to get shut down on the weekend. So like I said, from October 12th to the 15th, NewYorkComicCon.com for more information on that. And obviously, hit us up on that hashtag ODPH Pod. What's your thoughts about New York Comic Con? What panels are jumping out to you? And remember, if you're down at the Javits this weekend, Rich from 3FN and myself will be walking around. So definitely pop over, say hey. We'll have some swag to hand out, and we'll kind of go from there and start that conversation. That being said, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hi, guys. This is Macroom. I'm the writer of Inferno Go Red, and you're listening to the ODPH podcast.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pad, what we got?
Got a couple things to talk about. The first is some Star Wars news and some Star Wars audiobook news, because this is super exciting and interesting, if all things considered. So this is coming from the folks over at Del Rey Books, the folks who make and publish, well, they publish the Star Wars books. But this is news about the Essential Legends audiobooks. So they said, quote, "When we launched the Star Wars Essential Legends collection, one of the exciting things about the initiative was being able to create new audio editions for many of these books, some of which only had abridged versions or none at all. Recently, we had to pause on creating these new audio editions, but we know how important these editions are to our readers and always intended to return to making them. We appreciate all of your patience and interest, and we're pleased to announce the new Essential Legends audio editions are back in development, starting with some titles that we missed over the last year. Below is a list of the titles and when you can expect them to be on sale. These books will be up for pre-order from your favorite audiobook sellers soon," close quote. So Essential Legends is essentially taking the old Star Wars books before Disney bought them. And it's like, hey, these are the important stories, because there's a whole lot of books that came out in the entire history of Star Wars, but these are the important ones. These are the essentials that, like, if you want to go back and read some of these ones, these are the ones you should do. And like what they said, some of these didn't even get an audiobook adaptation. And the ones that did got abridged, because egregiously, I would say, a lot of Star Wars books back in the day were abridged. So instead of being like 12, 13, 14-hour listens, it's a lot of stuff cut out. They're like, oh, this isn't important for you to hear. We're just going to cut this. They really didn't start doing like full-blown unabridged audio productions until like the 2009 when they did the Fate of the Jedi series. A lot of other stuff was just abridged. And like, I remember there was one during the New Jedi Order series when Coruscant gets invaded and taken over. Like the whole sequence is just cut out. Yeah. They're like, when the capital planet of the entire galaxy gets taken over, we're just going to cut this. So some of the books that are going to be coming out for this are Outbound Flight, Star Wars Legends by Timothy Zahn, read by Mark Thompson. That's going to be coming out this December on the 19th specifically. And then you've got Star Wars Survivor's Quests, also by Timothy Zahn, read by Mark Thompson, coming out the same day, December 19th. Then you've got by Dave Wolverton, The Courtship of Princess Leia. That one is going to be read by January Lavoie, coming out on January 23rd of next year. You've got Yoda Dark Rendezvous, which was written by Sean Stewart. That's going to be read by Jonathan Davis. And then you've got one of the favorite books of a lot of Star Wars fans, if you've read the Star Wars books over the years. It's I, Jedi, written by Michael A. Stackpole, read by Mark Thompson. That one's going to be coming out on March 12th of next year. The post on readstarwars.com goes on to say, quote, "As we move into 2024, we have several more releases planned in the Essential Legends collection. We expect to be back to simultaneously releasing new audio editions for many of the Essential Legends books. With new paperback editions, look forward to more announcements about those titles in the future. May the Force be with you," close quote. So super exciting stuff over from those folks.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely
want to check that stuff out.
And then we got to talk about some DC news and some DCU news, and reading from an article on IGN.com. The headline says, James Gunn's DCU reportedly won't see any Justice League stars reprise their roles. I know, sky's falling. The article goes on to say, quote, "We knew James Gunn and Peter Safran's reimagining of the DC Extended Universe was going to be a shakeup, but now we're really starting to see how it's going to shake up. None of the Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, or Justice League stars, yes, that means Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, or Jason Momoa, will reprise their roles in the new DC universe as Gunn and Safran reboot the studio, according to a report from Variety. As of now, we've already got our replacement for Henry Cavill's Superman, but the most of the other characters are up in the air. David Cornsweet, who is best known for his work in Ty West's Pearl and Ryan Murphy's Hollywood series for Netflix, will be taking over as Superman alongside Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane for Gunn's 2025 film Superman Legacy back in June. That said, we might know a little bit about Aquaman stars Momoa's future in Gunn's overall vision. Though the actor has thus far only played Aquaman within the comic landscapes, he is reportedly in talks to play Lobo as the DCU changes hand.
Let's go.
The actor has been rumored to be playing the somewhat villainous character for some time now, But what's new in today's reporting is that he's being eyed to play the character either in Superman Legacy, which will kick off Gunn's DCU on the big screen in 2025, or in a standalone film. Lobo is a fan favorite, an alien from the planet Caesarnia, and a fierce bounty hunter who, despite killing all the other inhabitants of his world, actually has a bit of a good heart. Today's news is also a little discouraging, however, for fans of Godot's Wonder Woman, whose future has been unclear. In August, Godot claimed that Wonder Woman 3, which was previously in the works but fell apart, would be coming under Gunn and Safran's revamp after all. Later that month, Variety reported that Wonder Woman 3 wasn't actually in development, although that didn't count out Godot appearing as the character in other movies and TV shows. In the meantime, a couple of other actors will also keep their parts in Gunn's new turn. Viola Davis, who was featured as squad boss Amanda Waller in both the recent Suicide Squad attempts, will continue her role in next year's Max series Waller, which was previously confirmed. According to Variety, she may even reprise her role yet again in the upcoming Superman project. Actor-wrestler John Cena will also return to lead Peacemaker, the Max series, whose second season is currently being written by Gunn. Gunn also recently clarified that Zolo Marduena will continue playing Blue Beetle in some capacity. All in all, it seems like Gunn and Safran mean business when it comes to turning over a new page in the comic for DC's film legacy. Let's see if these upcoming castings prove to be in support of a brighter future, close quote.
Well, one, not super shocked.
Nope.
They're cleaning house, much like any new business owner does. They take a look at what's working, what's not, and if they want to start a clean slate. And I mean, let's face it.
They need to clean house.
Removing the Snyderverse leftovers is not the bad take to do. However, the Gal Gadot one is interesting.
It's a little surprising.
That one is a little surprising, so I would say stay tuned until they announce a Wonder Woman project to get final clarification, because I think that one could go back and forth for just reasons.
Yeah, it could. I feel bad for the crew that worked on the Aquaman movie, because that movie's not come out yet. That movie's going to come out in December, I think it is.
Yep.
And that's going to kill it at the box office.
Well,
and I don't mean that in a good way.
No, but I think at this point, too, Aquaman was already having an uphill battle.
Yeah, there's a whole other story from Variety, which we're not going to get into here.
Right.
That's a whole other ball of wax you can read on your own time, but troubled is what I would say.
Yes, so I think, unfortunately, that project has been doomed for quite some time.
Yeah, the one thing I did read was it went through multiple reshoots. It's gotten at least 3 different cuts. There was the original cut they tested, which didn't test well with the audiences, so they recut it. Tested it again, didn't do well a second time, so now there's a third cut. That's not good.
Well, I think now in this day and age, I think Gunn is going to be very smart about his whatever vision he wants to do. And the one thing is, the Aquaman that Jason Momoa played was a different interpretation than we've seen.
Yeah.
But he's more fitted for Lobo than anybody realizes. I believe he owns every single issue known to man of Lobo.
According to him, yes.
Which I don't doubt.
I'm not going to doubt him. He could kick my ass.
Right, but I think that he could definitely pull that off.
Yeah, no, he could. Yeah.
That's more suited towards him. And then I think with Aquaman...
I enjoyed his Aquaman movie.
Oh, it's fun.
You know, I remember going to see it, and I remember enjoying it, but admittedly, I think I own it on Blu-ray. I'd have to go home and check. I don't think I've watched it since I saw it in theaters, just because I haven't had the urge. It's nothing against
the movie. Nothing to write home about.
Right, but there was no moment in that movie where I'm like, oh, I want to see that scene again, or I want to experience this again. You know, it was good. I enjoyed it, but it falls in that category of like, it was good. I enjoyed it. Do I necessarily need to see it again? Not really. I've seen it on TV and I've caught a scene or two, but have I sat down on like a Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, or what have you, and been like, you know what, I got a couple free hours. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch this movie because it's on TV and I haven't seen it in a while. No.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. So I think what Gunn is doing, I trust the process with him, and the Gal Gadot one is the only one that I thought was really a curveball.
Yeah.
Amanda Waller staying is
that perfect casting.
John Cena, of course. He was in his movie The Suicide Squad, so it makes sense for him to stay.
Yeah.
And Blue Beetle, I mean, to keep the actor there, that's perfectly fine. I'm blanking on his name. Yolo.
Yeah.
So I think that that would be the perfect casting. Was
Haven't
Zola.
gotten around to seeing it yet, but I heard he did a very good job.
He was very good in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Zola was good, very, very good in the
Yeah.
movie. Like I say, for what it was, it's meant to be fun. It's like
Right.
if you like Shazam, you'll like that. Shazam 1, not Shazam 2. But I'm saying it has that good vibe to it. So
Right.
So that being said, we'll have to kind of wait and see how it plays out. But like I say, I'm not super shocked by any of the casting here,
Right.
or the announcements here. And if you're going to start clean, you have to start clean. And as much as fans don't want to give up the Snyderverse, like, listen, I'm sorry, it's done. Nothing else you can say about that.
Is what it is.
Yep. So before we go into the comic picks of the week, we do have to give a quick recap about a certain show that returns to Disney Plus. And it would have been the lead segment, but New York Comic Con takes precedent over that.
This is true.
And Pat, what decided to return this week?
That would be season 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe show Loki.
Yeah, so we will give our quick spoiler-free statements on this, and obviously next week we'll be taking a deeper dive in with episode 2 as well. But this one entitled Ouroboros. What is your spoiler-free statement?
It was okay. I mean, I was happy to see it back, and I enjoyed the kind of like, we're going to start the episode and we're going to start the season by like 0 to 60 in like a half a second.
Yeah.
Because it really didn't feel like you had a moment to like take a step back and breathe until 3/4 of the way through the episode. You know, so I enjoy kind of the pacing, and I enjoy the kind of like, we're going to go breakneck speed here. And it was fun to be back, and it was interesting to see what was going on, because it was such a cliffhanger and such an, oh my God moment, that it was good to see it back, but it admittedly felt like an epilogue to the previous book.
I agree.
That like, I expected it, but like I still got it, but like I'm not sure what I was expecting, but this just to me felt like an epilogue added on to the end of a book. That like, you could have given this to me at the last half of the season, but you cut it off, you put it into the beginning half of this season, and to me it feels like the show really hasn't started yet. You know, it just feels like, hey, we know that the previous season, looking it up here, the previous season ended on July 14th of 2021. You know, so it's been, you know, a little over 2 years since we've seen the show. And admittedly, I don't know what the return watch rates are on this show. I haven't seen season 1 since it originally aired. So, like, admittedly, it was good to kind of like take things slow, but I expected more.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think I don't want to say underwhelming, but I think it was just kind of did not hit the full potential.
Right.
I do agree with you. I think this was a perfect epilogue for season 1.
Yeah.
And they didn't really do anything to really progress the story. It kind of, I hate saying the word filler, but that's kind of the vibe I got from it a little bit. And it's nothing against the acting. Tom Hiddleston did a great job reprising the role. And it's But the problem ultimately relies on the villain you have chosen to lead this series, and that's Kang.
Yeah.
And anytime you dabble in the world of time travel, it's going to get messy. It's going to get weird. Doctor Who even struggles to pull this off completely, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the best part of the episode was Ki Hue Kwan as OB. I love him as an actor.
Yeah, he was great.
He was the best part of the episode for me.
Yeah, he was great in his role, but I think they didn't really do anything crazy to really progress anything. Like I said, it felt like an epilogue.
Right.
And I'm waiting to see what episode 2 does.
Right.
Because, like I say, with only 6 episodes, they got to make some ground up quickly.
I mean, and without looking at like numbers or anything like that, you can kind of tell how the episode was received just in kind of like the social media talk in the time after. Where like, I know most people were talking about, you know, how Hulk didn't understand the rules of time travel, because the rules of time travel in this show are different than what happened in Endgame. And now we're talking about, you know, what happened with the poster and AI and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of tells you how it was received.
Exactly. So the only promise was the end scene credits, which, if you know the comics of recent years, you understand at least a possibility where they could be going. So like, I took that away as a great win. But overall, I mean, it was okay. I think that's the nicest way I can put it. We'll have to see what they do next week.
Yes.
But I think they got to make up some ground, because, like I say, it didn't come in with that season premiere punch that we know with Disney Plus shows in the MCU.
Yes.
So that being said, Pat, let's talk some comics before we head on out of here.
Yeah, got a couple to talk about, all from the world of Marvel and the folks at Marvel. The first one, you've got Star Wars Dark Droids, issue number 3. This one from Charles Soule, and it reads, "The Scourge descends on Mustafar, a Dark Droids tie-in. For the evil intelligence taking over droids across the galaxy, there is no greater prize than the Force. And who better to steal it from than a being who is more machine than man, Darth Vader." Oh, boy. Then you got from the folks over at Marvel, Superior Spider-Man Returns, issue number 1 from Dan Slott. The caption of this one reads, Superior Spider-Man web slings again. The Spider team that redefined The Amazing Spider-Man returns to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the most monumental and shocking Spidey story in a generation. Dan Slott, Ryan Stegman, Mark Bagley, Giuseppe Camuncoli, Humberto Ramos, Peter Parker, Doc Ock, together again for a Spider-Man story superior to all others.
See what you did there.
Thank you. And then lastly, and certainly not leastly, because the cover of this one, holy fucking
That
shit.
looks dope.
Holy shit. Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 35 from Zeb Wells. On the cover, you have a goblin of some sorts on a glider of some sorts, but it's not just any goblin. The goblin is wearing the Spider-Man costume. Complete with the logo. He's got a pumpkin bomb and webs going behind him. And the description of this is real simple. This sets up the next 24 issues of Amazing Spider-Man. Do not miss this. Close quote.
Well,
The cover of this is fucking bonkers.
the cover is amazing.
I kind of want the cover as like a poster so I can frame it.
I was going to say, that looks like JR.
Yeah.
And it looks fantastic.
It
too,
is.
by the way.
Cover art is John Romita.
Oh, man. That cover looks
Cover is really good.
absolutely fantastic. On my end, Comixology Originals, I kind of teased this a little earlier. Buy a Thread is out, number 1. Scott and Jack Snyder are teaming up. It's Jack's comic writing debut.
Hey.
So father and son duo are teaming up for this. Valerie Favacosia is on the art, and this book is just freaking fantastic. If you like a little adventure, it has like almost like an anime style RPG kind of vibe to it. I kind of compared it a little bit to Battle Chasers when I was first talking about it. A little bit. It
Okay.
kind of has a feel like that.
Okay.
But it's very well done, and the art will absolutely blow you away. And there's a lot of win to be had here. The story is just getting started. And I think it's a phenomenal job, like I say, top to bottom. And like I mentioned earlier, we should be talking to Scott and possibly some more people about this book.
Wink, wink, not judge.
Yep, just dates have to be finalized. But we are very optimistic because all parties involved want to do some business to talk. So
Yeah.
stay tuned. On the DC side of things, Batman and Robin number 2. So
Nice.
this is a book that definitely has won me over. I absolutely think the series is making some huge strides. Joshua Williamson, Simone Di Mieo, and my God, man, the artwork in this is just insane. I'm blown away every time I see this. And the cover I'm showing Pat right now.
Ooh, very nice.
Like I say, the story going on here, definitely intriguing. It's a little separate from the Gotham War, but it still kind of is connected to. So if you're looking for something else, they're doing a really fun job about playing off the father-son dynamic between Damian and Bruce. So I definitely dig that one. Another book that did not get a chance to review just yet, but stay tuned for Nerd Initiative on that. Fingers crossed, is City of Madness by Christian Ward. And this book is absolutely looks amazing. So this is one that's got a lot of hype behind it. It's not your average Batman story, we'll just put it that way. So a lot of great things to be had with that. On the Marvel side of things, there is a book that I have been hyping for a while. I'm absolutely put this in my hands right now. Cap Wolf and the Howling Commando.
Oh, shit. I forgot about this.
It's coming out Wednesday.
Oh, boy.
This looks absolutely bananas, and I'm here for it.
This is the wildest thing I can think of that Marvel's done in a while, and I'm excited for it.
Well, considering the creative team behind it, I mean, Stephanie Phillips.
Yep.
Enough said. I mean, I could do the Paul Heyman intro, but I'm waiting for a special occasion to do that. It's Stephanie Phillips. You just pick it up. It's going to be fantastic. And Carlos Maño's artwork in this will blow you away. So trust me when I say this book has got to be on your radars for New Comic Book Day. No questions asked. And to flip Cap Wolf, who, I mean, doing some research on this, the last time we saw him was 1992. He debuted in 1992 in the comics with the late Mark Renwald's run of Captain America. To see how they're going to do this story is going to be absolutely mind-blowing. I am super, 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 super excited to check this out on New Comic Book Day, and I'm going to tell you right now, you all need to go get this book. Is just the creative team alone. If that doesn't get you excited to pick this book up, you go check your pulse. I'm being dead-ass serious about this. They are going to absolutely blow some people away with this, and I am going to be all here for it because, yeah, just the stuff I've seen from it, absolutely crazy, just crazy, amazing, blah, blah, blah. It's just, I could go on and gush about it, but still got one more book to talk about, and that's House of Slaughter 18. So the anthology companion series to Something is Killing Children is picking up some steam. This is a fantastic series. The story is definitely really not what you're expecting, but I'm loving what I'm seeing coming out of the story. And like I say, it's all self-contained books, so as long as you jump in at the first part, you won't be thrown off. This is a great thing to get into the Something is Killing Children universe. You definitely want to keep your eyes out for that. There's so many other great books to pick from this week. Like I say, Boom Studios has a monster lineup in store. Image Comics has a big lineup as well.
Yeah.
Dark Horse, they got some great books coming out this week. IDW. The list goes on, and if you need your comic book recommendations, the Nerd Initiative Bullpen is kicking that off at 9 o'clock in the morning with the review of Midlife from Image Comics. That's going to set the pace for the rest of the day. It's a joint review from myself, Marty Stoked, and Matt from Hopsgeeks News. So if you want to find out about that, nerdinitiative.com, kicking off at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
So definitely make sure you swing on over and check that out. Every hour on the hour, new review until we run out. That's how we do on New Comic Book Day. And if you want even more of that, odphpodcast.com on the blog section, we have them there as well. So you can't miss it. And like we always like to end it with, make sure to go out and support your local comic shops wherever you're at, because there's nothing like going into a shop on a Wednesday and grabbing some new issues. That being said, for anything and everything that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. That's it for this week. So for the one and only Padawan J.
Fuck the Houston Astros. Y'all thought you were going to miss it this week.
Oh, I know. The streak continues.
Fuck the Astros.
He does not miss this. If you don't know it, that's why you have to go get the Patreon and go check out the sports edition. I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. See you at New York Comic Con. Talk to you next week.